One of the biggest successes of the first half of 2026 has been the Kizer Drop Bear Zero, a decluttered, ultra clean rendition of this very capable design. It's been so successful, it's been really hard to keep it in stock. Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center, and here are 10 other knives that do this ultra clean aesthetic very well. So first, what does the Drop Bear Zero have going for it? Well, the utter absence of hardware to the greatest degree possible is the first thing you'll notice about it. Followed by clean lines, clean, smooth finishes, and an overall pretty clean profile as well. They're also spec'd really well for the price. This one right here is about $130, comes with a 3.1-inch M390 blade and aluminum handles. LMAX is also an option as a blade steel. There have been titanium options in addition to this. So good knife, even when you take away, or even if you add back, you know, the stuff they've taken away, so to speak. We've got a button actuated top liner lock here, actuated by the small half circle button right there. Works really well. You got that finger safe closing action. You can flick it open quite nicely, or you can just use the thumb studs, of course. The handle is nice and smooth, very easy to get a solid 4-finger grip on it. You've got a deep carry pocket clip, devoid of any markings. In fact, the blade itself as well, devoid of any branding. All the branding is tucked way in there on the inside where you can see it if you want to, but otherwise it just goes away. Now they've achieved this by kind of really smartly hiding pins on the inside to kind of line up the front, and just a single screw here on the back, which is actually hidden by the pocket clip itself, providing some side-to-side tension here at the back, and then a single screw for the reversible tail-mounted deep carry pocket clip. Super, super clean. But they're obviously not the first to do something like this. I think they're the ones really pushing this envelope the most currently, however. But let's take a trip down memory lane just a little bit for the first alternative, shall we say. The Spyderco Dragonfly. Yes, the profile is not nearly as streamlined and clean as the Drop Bear Zero, but in terms of cleanliness of the handle, I think this is the cleanest option here on the table right now. It's stainless steel, brushed finish to hide all of the hardware. If you look really, really closely, you can see where the circle of the actual pivot is, but only if you catch it in the light just right. It just brushes away thanks to that finish right there. These run about $97 and some change right now. You've got a VG10 blade, about 2.5 inches on that blade length, but still full grip on the knife. 3 to 3.5 finger grip probably for most folks, although if you have small hands, it would be a comfortable 4-finger grip thanks to the guarded finger choil right there, which means you could work the short blade length, heavier than you might expect. And this is one of the few remaining options in Spyderco's lineup with stainless steel handles that does this construction the old school way. Newer versions, you actually see kind of the pivot hardware, and some of them have more than one pocket clip mounting option position, which is great for preferences to suit it to whoever, to suit whoever is carrying it, but it does kind of mar up the aesthetics a little bit. So you can check this out. Some of the even smaller non-locking folders can still be had with this super clean stainless steel finish. Great knife. Speaking of slip joints, we could check out the James brand Wayland right here. Kind of similar, like completely hidden hardware from the outside. We've actually got a rosewood inlay, and I believe it's a titanium bolster on that. S35VN for the blade steel on that as well, about 3 inches in length. And this also gets back to kind of a cleaner overall profile, more similar to something like that Drop Bear Zero right there at the beginning. Non-locking though, so just keep that in mind, but the walk and talk is really nice, and the half stop definitely feels very secure. There is branding on the blade, but it's very minimal, front and back, and just a little logo there at the front. If you're going for like ultra minimal logoification, this isn't quite there, but it's pretty close. Next up, we have the Mr. Designs ISO, which stands for Insanely Sharp Object. And that is because it has a very acute tip and a very thin geometry on an S90V blade, which is very sharp, insanely sharp. some might say. And the front side here, exceptionally clean. You do see the pivot. It's hidden essentially by this triangular piece of hardware there. But when you compare that to the Drop Bear Zero, you can't see the pivot on that knife, but you do see, you know, the thumb studs and the button, giving you kind of two pieces of visual clutter on the Drop Bear Zero. The ISO essentially comes with just the single bit of clutter right there. The backside is a little bit more cluttered. You do see the pivot screw inside that triangular pivot surround right there, which is a little more visible than the single screw on the backside of the Drop Bear Zero, but like the Drop Bear Zero, you still have just a single pocket clip screw mounted from the tail, giving you reversibility and nice clean interactions right there. A very cool knife. You have the compression style lock there on the top, allowing you to close it in that finger-safe fashion. And then in that closed position, you've got a very clean look as well, not just in that open position. Compare that to the Drop Bear Zero real quick. The only bits of blade that are visible is this little triangular flipper tab, which is kept nice and minimal. Again, very, very clean. And that is the only place you see some exterior branding there, which is the S90V steel designation. Otherwise, when it's open, nothing to speak of except the tiny, line drawing logo right there, which is, again, nice and minimal. It's about $280 for this knife, if I didn't mention already. Like I said, you've got S90V and titanium handles and that minimal aesthetic. Next up, the BIGiDESIGN Overlook. It's about $220 with a 2 3/4 inch M390 blade and titanium handles. The profile, exceptionally clean. Hardware-wise, it's a little tiny bit more cluttered, but they do some really nice things in terms of getting the most out of the hardware they use to maintain this kind of clean, wholesome aesthetic right here. You do have the pivot, and then a single screw here at the back goes in straight. That secures both the pocket clip and the hardware that holds the two sides together. You can see it's essentially this block that slots in to either side of the front handle. It's a real smart way to do things. It's nice and clean. And like I said, gets the most out of the screws that they do have to use. And when you get right down to it, there's actually there's less hardware here than on the Drop Bear Zero. And the design itself, like I said, very, very clean. I like the small size of it. Makes a great option for something that could be a gentleman's knife, but also something you wouldn't feel out of place carrying every day. Something if it's too fancy, you might not want to do that. But that's the advantage of a clean shape and a clean design. It can kind of assume whatever role that you need it to assume. Next up, another knife that gets the most out of the hardware that it does use, and you might be a little surprised by this, a MIcrotech, an out-the-front automatic. This is the Hera II from MIcrotech. These come in about $500. M390 MK for the blade steel with a big 4-inch blade. A few different shapes can be had. And if you look from the outside, there is one screw, and it is right here at the back. It's a pass-through screw as well, which is a little bit, it feels a little less normal than your standard T8 style screw on the Overlook right there. And as such, it doesn't feel quite as cluttered. Maybe it is, but because it feels different, maybe I'm casting things upon it perhaps. But otherwise, the aluminum handles here, unbroken. Tiny laser engraved logo here at the front, which is kept nice and minimal because of the way it's engraved. You still have that black finish, flowing lines, smooth textures all around. Great action with the latest versions of MIcrotech's action there. Yes, the action has great action. Stick with me. And then if you needed to disassemble this knife, not that MIcrotech encourages said behavior, it's just that one bit of hardware here at the back that needs to be removed, which would reveal the rest of the unit right there. It kind of slides forward. So that is the thing that holds it in place right there. Really, really cool way to achieve that bit of cleanliness. Now the next knife here may have a little tiny bit more hardware clutter going on, but they've gone even further than the Drop Bear Zero in terms of minimizing the branding. This is a ProTech, this is the Godfather, and specifically, this is the operator version of the Godfather, which is completely unmarked. Unlike the Drop Bear Zero, where the markings are hidden deep on the inside, this knife doesn't even have that. completely clean in that regard. And the design is nice and clean and streamlined as well. Very smooth surfaces on the aluminum handles right here, like I mentioned. 2 buttons. You've got the pivot and the firing button itself here on the front. So very minimal to begin with, and the fact that they're in line on this symmetrical design kind of cleans things up clutter-wise as well. In addition to the whole blacked out aesthetic, you've got 154 cm on that blade steel. And this knife comes in at about $300, but there are some more affordable versions if you're not so concerned about the operator aesthetic. You've got that good ProTech action, which is always a nice thing. And then on the back, you do have a few more visible screws than anything else here on the table, but they don't feel super apparent because it's black on black on black, essentially. So that minimizes at least from that standpoint. But then flip it over and you've got just a huge amount of cleanliness that I definitely think stands up when you compare it to the prototype or archetype we're looking at here up at the beginning of the video. All right, next up, I've got 4 knives here that still have conventional hardware, so to speak, but they do some really interesting things to hide that hardware away. We're going to start with this. This is the Reate Gents number 9 flipper. $327. You've got an M390 blade with this knife. Now, when you look at the titanium handle here, you do have some added clutter in the terms of the milling lines right here, but there is no real visible hardware at all at the back side. Not holding the sides together, not holding the pocket clip down. You've essentially just got the pivot, which on the front side is kept nice and minimal, just this kind of domed or peaked look, only screws in from the back side. The hardware that holds the interface plate for the lock bar here, also done nice and minimally, so it's not, you don't see the screw head, so to speak. How are they actually holding these 2 sides together? It's actually this bit of back spacer right here. This is actually essentially a screw. You have to unscrew this round spacer right here to release each side of the knife. Really, really cool little trick, and allows them to keep that thing super, super clean indeed. The action is still exactly what you would hope from a premium Reate. It's nice and snappy. The fit and finish is perfect. You got a nice crowned spine here, which is just a nice elegant thing too, and kind of breaks up the hard lines that most knives might have on their edges. Very cool. All right, I debated whether to include this next knife or not, but there's a few reasons I did, despite its sort of visual clutter. I will admit this is getting a little further away from the Drop Bear Zero in terms of the cleanliness of its design or its shape, but from a hardware perspective, I haven't mentioned integral titanium knives yet. There's no need to hide the hardware if there's no hardware in the first place. This is the Knife Company GTC Solid. It comes in at $450, and the handle is a single piece of titanium. So you don't need hardware to hold the sides together at all. 20 CV blade, 3.8 inches long, pretty cool stuff. They've also kept things minimal from a branding perspective and a hardware perspective on the front by combining the hardware and the branding there with the pivot cap, essentially, which is a cool thing. Backside, you do see some extra screws here going on, but just a little bit. And then the other kind of nice hidden thing they do for cleanliness is the spring-loaded flipper tab there, the SLT flipper tab, which is a GTC, a Gus T. Cecchini thing. That is a separate spring-loaded arm from the blade, yet it works just like a conventional flipper and then tucks itself in. Like that is that flipper tab I just flipped right there. Keeping things nice and clean from a design standpoint right there. There's plenty of other integrals on the market. Interestingly, the problem I was running into when trying to pick one for this video is because they're so clean without the visual hardware from the front holding the sides together, pretty much everyone who makes one adds design to the front, like this one does. To one degree or another, it's actually hard to find a super clean integral out there, something that might be like so. Maybe that's something that should be done soon. I don't know. I'm looking at you, integral makers. Get on it. 2 more real quick. with really cool ways to hide the hardware that's there. The first is from Remette. This is the RT-Woodpecker. This is one of several knives they actually have in their lineup that hide their hardware beneath trick removable handle scales. But this is just the one that I'm showing today. 215 bucks, 3-inch M390 blade, titanium handles, and no visible hardware on the front at all. No visible hardware on the back at all either. Everything is completely hidden. The branding is kept pretty minimal. It's there, but it's not shouting at you. Let's close the knife and I will show you with this button right here, integrated with the back spracer. But when you press that button down, the front cover slides forward and you can lift it right off, revealing all the visual clutter that is on the inside. Super, super cool way to achieve the clean look. And you've got, a very cool, clean, usable design as well. A little bit faceted, but it's the cleanest of the Remettes that have similar functionality to this. And last but not least, we have the Piratech Mag-Snap knife. 300 bucks, S90V blade, bead blasted titanium handles, and the handle covers are just that. They are covers held on to the frame underneath with magnets. So there is no hardware poking through the handle itself, except for, of course, that crossbar for the locking action right there. Now, it actually doesn't pop off super easily because there is some kind of, friction fit going on as well. But there you go. Super easy to take off. You're not unscrewing things to move anything around. Inside, you've got conventional construction. You've got back spacers. You've got a standard pivot. They're all just safely hidden away beneath that magnetic cover. The cool thing about that too is you can customize this. They sell less or more gaudy versions of these handle scales if you want to make it a little less clean. But of course, this video right here is about cleanliness, so that is the one we're going with. Good 4-finger grip on that, 3.22-inch blade, great edge retention with the S90V, and the action, super nice, as you can tell. Well, let me know what you thought of these alternatives. If you've got some other kind of like hyper clean alternatives inspired by, the inspiration for this video today, the Drop Bear Zero, I'd love to hear them in the comments. Drop them down below. If you do like what you saw here, make sure to follow the links in the description. Those will take you to KnifeCenter.com. While you're there, don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program or the tons of new payment options we've added at checkout, including Sezzle if you want to break things into payments. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center, here to declutter your EDC. See you next time.